Your Excellency, Ambassador Eikawa, dear Vice President Professor Gemma, dear Vice Rector Professor Weinberg, Director of BRIAS Professor De Koning, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our sixth conference, and thank you for being here. Before giving the floor to the personalities we will have the pleasure of listening to today, I would like to warmly thank BRIAS for the welcoming us in its premises and for its precious support. Thank you very much. And talking about premises, I think it was drawing your attention on the fact that the renovation of the building we are in, and as well as all the site around where you have seen work is still going on, these buildings has been designed on the basis of a green building concept aimed to reducing emission in materials and techniques used, but also in a view to the day-to-day use. So it's very, very interesting to know that, and it seems to me that is perfectly in line with the topic we will discuss today. So enjoy this conference, which promises to be full of learning. And I have just a little communication to do about the program. Professor Mr. Hidemichi Yosezawa will be moved from session 1 to session 2. So don't worry, if you don't see him, it's normal, you will see him in session 2. Thank you very much. Professor Gemma, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Good morning. Your Excellency, Ambassador Aikawa from the Japanese mission on the European Union. His Excellency, Ambassador Jean-Éric Paquet from the delegation of the European Union to Japan. Unfortunately, he cannot be here, so he'll be making his presentation through video. Vice Rector Weinberg of the ULB and Professor Franz De Koning, co-director, Brussels Institute for Advanced Studies. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Waseda Brussels Conference. I'm Masahiko Gemma, Vice President for International Affairs at Waseda University. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to today's conference. As one of the organizers and representing Waseda University, I'd like to make a brief welcome speech of appreciation and introduction. To begin, on behalf of Waseda University, I'd like to extend my sincere gratitude to our co-host of the university, Université Level de Brussels, for their tireless efforts to organize this event, as well as the continued support for the Waseda Brussels office, to the delegation of the European Union to Japan and the RIKEN Europe office for their help and support, and then to everyone here today for your active participation, especially those who have taken the valuable time to prepare for the presentation from Europe and Japan. I missed the name of the Brussels Institute for Advanced Studies. We also appreciate your support for this particular conference. It has been over 8 years since Waseda University first opened the Waseda Brussels office on the ULB campus in April 2016. Waseda University has been engaged in collaborative activities with European universities since the early 1960s to the present. And then our scholars have continued to actively pursue exchange in the variety of academic areas. As the process of globalization and the movement toward borderless society have continued to advance in Europe and Asia, academic exchange today has diversified beyond the practice of simple bilateral partnerships to the level of active engagement in multilateral corporations. In light of this, Waseda University has been seeking to establish research networks across Europe through the Waseda Brussels office, acting as a hub and platform. In addition, by deepening the communication with the various directorates in the European Commission, important scientific contributions in strategically important areas of our areas our researchers can make with European research partners. This time, the research team on environmental issues from leading research institutions in Japan and Europe will discuss their academic activities and then policy implications with the theme of environmental studies for carbon neutrality. I hope this becomes a momentous opportunity to deepen collaboration activities among leading scholars in both sides. The first Waseda Brussels Conference was held in 2016, as I mentioned, and then second in 2018, the third one December 19, and then fourth one in September 22, and then fifth one last year in December. With this year becomes our sixth. The goal of this conference is to disseminate academic and then these conferences to disseminate academic and research findings from Europe and Japan, in turn to contribute to the world by making meaningful use of these findings. 2 years ago, we discussed under the title of New Technologies and Regulations in Japan and Europe, which examined the three critical challenges regarding the EU Japan science and technology relations. We discussed the interplay between artificial intelligence and the intellectual property rights. And second, the role of transparency and then legal safeguards in ensuring the trust in governmental data collection practices. And then three, the cybersecurity implication of emerging technologies. The European Commission recently introduced, maybe not recently, but introduced a new policy on the use of AI. Our research team, headed by Professor Ueno, studied global collaborations connecting the Columbia Law School and then Law School at the University of Hong Kong to discuss global rules on AI use after the public conference held here 2 years ago. The second international conference will be held at Waseda University on December 12th next month. I believe that discussions with European scholars in September 2022 have been critical for establishing the research and educational team and the experts. Moonshot research team on sustainable food supply in Japan that organized the Waseda Brussels conference 1 year ago has been collaborating with European scholars after the conference, and then followed up with the event in this past September at Waseda University by organizing an international conference. Ambassador Jim Eric Packard gave us encouraging remarks in the conference. As for today's conference, we aim to at creating a platform connecting the European Union and Japan in research area of green transformation. The scholars and policymakers will discuss carbon pricing, carbon border adjustment mechanism, and sustainable finance in the EU and Japan. Research collaborations would result in significant social impacts in both parties. In closing, I hope everyone here today finds the discussions insightful and that the conference serves to further develop the close relationship between the European Union and Japan. Well, thank you very much again, and enjoy the conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Gemma. Professor Weinberg, please.
Your Excellency Ambassador Kazutoshi Aikawa, Vice President Gemma, Professor De Koning, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great pleasure and an honor to open this 6th Waseda Brussels conference together with my colleague, Vice President Gemma. On behalf of ULB and on behalf of our rector, Professor Annemie Schaus, I would like to express how delighted we are with this event, which represents a remarkable achievement by the Waseda University Brussels office. This year's conference is a perfect continuation of previous editions, reaffirming the commitment to diversity and relevance in addressing key issues from an inter-regional perspective, particularly, of course, from a Japanese-European viewpoint. As Professor Gemma has already mentioned, I think it is worth listing the different various topics covered in these conferences over the years, because they highlight the wide range of concerns that have shaped our common discussions over the years. The first conference aimed to launch a new platform for research and cooperation between Japan and the EU with a focus on inclusion and cross-sectoriality. The second conference focused on the future of robotics and artificial intelligence in the age of super-aging. The third was entitled Democracy at the Crossroads, Populism and its Consequences for Political Trust. The fourth dealt, and you mentioned it, Vice President Gemma, with a key element of the element of the partnership between the EU and Japan, namely the regulatory dialogue surrounding technological innovation, in particular artificial intelligence and intellectual property. And last year, we held the fifth conference titled Global Sustainable Food Supply, which addressed, of course, one of the most pressing issues on the global agenda. This year's conference is undoubtedly a continuation of a global issue of paramount importance. As you all know, climate change has become an urgent concern, one of the most urgent concerns for governments, public opinion, and economies worldwide. To address this global climate emergency, the international community has adopted a wide range of responses, including regulation, technological innovation, and more recently, financial tools and market mechanisms. Among these, of course, the introduction of carbon pricing, such as emissions trading schemes and carbon taxes, remains the most significant. At the conclusion of COP29, the outcomes of which offer much food for thought, the Green Alliance between Japan and the EU appears, of course, to be of pivotal importance, particularly in the current international context. And we hope, of course, that our discussions here will help further advance thinking in this critical area. This year, the Waseda Brussels office continues to pursue a consistent and coherent strategy aimed at strengthening the connections between researchers from Waseda University and their European counterparts. And I would like to conclude these remarks by emphasizing this very point. Beyond the regulatory and macroeconomic factors that will be analyzed and described today from the perspective of scientists, business world, and decision makers, we aim to highlight the role of universities as a practical illustration of the issues at hand. This afternoon's final session will provide an opportunity to explore and showcase the resources, and if I may add also the energy, that universities dedicate to research and teaching in the field, but also, and importantly, their managerial approach to sustainability challenges. Our focus here is, of course, on exchange and pursuit of synergy. On behalf of our rector, Annemie Schaus, I would like to express our heartfelt thanks to you, Vice President Gemma, and through you, of course, to Waseda University for this long-standing, extremely rich and fruitful collaboration. I would also like to extend my sincere gratitude to the Waseda Brussels office, to Jean-Louis Morgat, of course, also to Patrick Vité-Philippe. Most sincere thanks to Professor Toshi Arimura. Thank you, Professor, because you are the initiator of this conference. Thank you so much for this. Thank you also to all chairs and speakers of today's event. Thank you to Brias and to Frank de Koning for hosting us here today. And of course, last but not least, to the Japanese mission to the European Union, and of course to Ambassador Excellency Kazutoshi Aikawa. I thank you all for your attention, and I wish you an excellent day, an excellent conference. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Weinberg, for these kind words. Professor de Koning, please.
Excellency, Mr. Vice President, dear colleagues, it's an honor for us to be able to host this important conference in our premises. You are here at the Brussels Institute for Advanced Studies, and I was asked in less than 5 minutes to give a very short presentation about what is BRIAS and why are we here. It all started in 2018 when former rector Didier Vivier realized that there was no Institute for Advanced Studies in Belgium, and the then rectors, Paul de Knop, Caroline Pauwels, Yvon Angler, etc., decided to create the institute. And the idea was to stimulate research ideas. That is, it's not project-based. We hope that some ideas will come out of the work which is being done here, to foster the collaboration between the two sister universities, the Flemish VUB and the French-speaking ULB, and of course to participate in, I would say, the prestige of the universities in the Brussels region. So the mission of BRIAS is brainstorming and networking. We try to, I will read, break down the walls of ignorance and dogmatism by stimulating groundbreaking research at the highest level of creativity without taboos or prejudice. That is absolute academic freedom for the people working here. The theme has to do with sustainable development, and this is why I'm very pleased to be able to welcome you. And we invite high-level scientists, which we call fellows, to come and spend a few months here in our new premises and work together on a broad theme. And the fellows come from very varied disciplines. So it has to be interdisciplinary, which has consequences. When you put a psychologist together with an engineer, they not necessarily understand each other the first day. So you have to have them together for a long time. Then in order to be able to fantasize and be creative, you shouldn't be bothered by daily hassles. So this is why we put them here, and they live here, okay? And then they work together, and we hope that something will come out of it. Until today, we had 61 senior fellows. We also had 20 junior fellows, postdocs. which helps in the networking and helps their career, of course, to broaden their mind. We had 2 resident artists, because artists have really a disruptive view on the same subjects. As scientists, when we are very specialized, we tend to have tunnel vision. What we try to do is open, and the artists, they look even behind their head, okay? And we had 250 guest speakers. This just to show that the networking aspect is very important, and that we really want to open this to all countries and all disciplines. We had, this is an example of fellows we had in the past 2 years. As you can see, there is a balance for all kind of criteria. In 21 to 23, the theme was the past, present, and future of food, climate, and sustainability, where we had lots of talks, workshops, etc., with people coming from archaeobotany, I didn't even know it existed, plant physiology, politics, genetics, etc., etc. Very interdisciplinary. The current theme has to do with robots and artificial intelligence and automation. And again there, during the first year, we already had 65 talks, seminars, etc., and forums. Important to know, all talks are broadcasted and are available on YouTube. And so I try to stay within the allotted time. I wish you sincerely a very inspiring conference. Thank you.
Mackenzie, may I invite you to come here for some words?
My name is Kazuto Shaikawa. I'm serving here as an ambassador to the European Union. And that there are 2 ambassadors here in Brussels. One is covering bilateral as well as NATO, and I myself covering Japan, EU, European Union relations and partnerships. So I'm very happy to be here, and I thank you for every speakers, Gemma Sensei, Professor Weinberg, Professor De Koenigs. Your presentations are really illuminating. And today is a bit of a special day for me because I just came back from Strasbourg last night, and I witnessed the birth of a new cycle of EU Commission, EU Commissioners, College of EU Commissioners. So with the new cycle, with new commissioners, we could turn the new page for Japan EU partnership. So that's and this is my first job after the birth of a new commissioner. So today is a really special day, and I really thank you for inviting me to this conference. It's truly an honor for me, and I'd like to express my sincere appreciation for everyone involved in making this conference a reality. Waseda University, ULB, and all the other partners and stakeholders. The themes of today's conference, carbon neutrality, is one of the pressing challenges that we face in today's world. I'm confident that the discussion, discussing this issue here at such a distinguished academic institution is both timely and meaningful. And as explained, that the premises is a great, provides a great opportunity to discuss, the carbon decarbonization, because the building area is one of the most challenging area to promote decarbonization. Draghi report, which has been a talk of the town for the last several months, highlights that research and innovation key drivers of growth and competitiveness. This is equally true for Japan. Of course, Draghi report is for EU's competitiveness, but we are facing the same situation. So for innovation to truly advance societal, social development and economic progress, we need active collaboration between research institutions and universities across borders. The Japanese government is fully committed to strengthening partnership with like-minded countries and regions like European Union, with a focus on promoting research and innovation. When it comes to international exchange, the pandemic caused a temporary decrease in the number of Japanese students studying abroad and international students coming to Japan, vice versa. However, since 2022, we have seen a strong recovery in these numbers. So our goal, however, is not just to return to pre-pandemic levels, but to far exceed them. So we are aiming to increase the numbers of students willing to move beyond the borders, beyond the borders between Japan and the rest of the world, and of course Japan and Belgium. And that would strengthen academic and cultural ties and help nurture the next generation of global leaders who can contribute meaningful, who can provide meaningful contribution in today's and tomorrow's world. Waseda University has long been a leader in fostering international exchange and both by welcoming students from abroad and encouraging Japanese students to study overseas. It also plays a crucial role in international collaborative research and in shaping global events and talent. It's particularly exciting to see how Waseda and ULB are combining their strengths to address some of today's biggest societal challenges, using interdisciplinary approaches that encompass economics, engineering, and international perspectives. It is really reassuring to know that these two institutions are working together to advance research and academic exchange, helping build solutions for the future. So since launch of the Japan-EU Green Alliance in 2021, which was explained, Japan and the European Union have been working closely toward a carbon-neutral society. Creating new knowledge and technologies is fundamental to building a sustainable future. At the same time, to turn that knowledge in concrete actions, concrete solutions, academia, government, and industry must work together. So I know Waseda University is pursuing significant efforts in training experts and leaders in the field of carbon neutrality, sustainability, not just in academics, but with an eye toward their future role in industries. This is exactly the kind of forward-thinking approach we need to address the changes ahead. So whether in Japan and the EU, academic and research institutions are expected, in my view, to play a vital role, not just by advancing academic knowledge, but also by offering concrete actions for global challenges through collaborative research. So I look forward to seeing our cooperation continue to deepen as we work together toward a more sustainable and prosperous future. So let me just conclude by giving my best wishes for today's conference. And today's conference will not only be providing valuable insights, but also concrete actions that help shape a better future for all of us. So thank you very much.
Excellency, thank you very much for your encouraging words. So we now listen the pre-record speech from Ambassador Paquet in Japan for the EU.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues Gema-san, Aikawa-san, colleagues from ULB and WB. I'm really very happy to say a few words at this opening of the Waseda University Conference in Brussels. You chose a particularly relevant policy and scientific subject, carbon neutrality, and how the world in Europe and of course in Japan can move more effectively towards carbon neutrality and accelerate the reduction in CO2 emissions. The science is, I think, very clear. The reduction pathways are not keeping us in line with the Paris Agreement. We are seeing extreme weather events now on a regular basis. I don't think I need to recall the suffering in Spain only a few weeks ago, heat waves and typhoons in Japan, but also in the less developed part of the planet, the human toll is even greater. So action is more necessary than ever. The overall geopolitical environment is certainly challenging. You have followed and are following the COP in Baku. And obviously the developments in the US put a big question mark on how climate policies will develop in that part of the world. Now, universities here in Japan, Waseda and others, and of course in Europe, in very many European cities and member states are playing a pioneering and leading role on climate policy and debating climate science with society. And today's conference is a particularly relevant contribution to that intellectual and policy leadership of universities in Japan and in Europe. So I wanted to commend you for that. I think in terms of the subjects which you cover, they are of course absolutely spot on. And I think I just want here to underline that whilst we are in Europe now at a very challenging moment where implementation is taking place, and this is challenging across societies for industry and other economic actors. The trajectory is very much delivering in terms of CO2 reductions. We have seen, I think, a 37% reduction since 1990, but maybe more importantly and interestingly, between 22 and 23, a 7.5% reduction of CO2 emissions. So this is really largely happening, in large part also due to renewable energies coming online faster than ever. And in fact, today we are producing more electricity with renewables in Europe than with fossil fuels. This is a very broad policy area, a very challenging one where Japan and Europe are working together under the EU-Japan Green Alliance. There's a lot of activities ongoing here in Tokyo, but with this conference in Brussels, Waseda University is bringing that cooperation also to Brussels, and I find that particularly important and useful also to bring some of the solutions and the experience accumulated in Europe to the policy debate here in Japan. I hope that in the cycle which now opens with the new commission imminent, and of course with the administration here in Japan, that we can bring our cooperation to the next level, be part of the ambitions here in Japan, and maybe as importantly, see more and more Japan and Europe team up across the world, in East Asia probably to begin with, but also in other parts of the world, so that solutions can be developed with partners around the world together by Japan and the European Union. All these subjects, you will cover them today. I think, really have liked to be in many parts of your seminar. I'm sure I will see some of the results, and I would like again to commend Waseda University for the conference today. Thank all participants and wish you a very successful day. Thanks a lot.